Good morning, everyone. It's great to be back here in Amsterdam. I'm not a stranger to this community. It's just down the road from where I hang my hat once in a while. And I want to just tell everyone how excited I am to be here because I've seen this community. 8 years ago as Lieutenant Governor, 9 years ago now, I saw the great potential here. I saw a community that believed in itself, but many from the outside didn't see the same possibilities that we all saw. And the DRI, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, which I was so proud to announce here, really was a catalyst for change. And so it is great to be back here to see the need for housing, which means people want to be in your community. You don't have to build housing if no one wants to be there. So that is a good signal of people's confidence. And I want to thank our many legislators and individuals who've helped us, starting with Mayor Cinquanti. I want to thank you for your leadership of this community. It's a community that matters. It punches above its weight in a sense because there's so many wonderful assets here. And I know, having been in local government, where people know you, they recognize you in the grocery store, they see you everywhere, and you are very accessible. And I know the challenges, but also the great joys of being able to represent people at the local level. So let's give a round of applause to our mayor here. I've worked a long time with our county executive as well. We've done many projects together and traveled this wonderful county, just talking about its great assets and attributes. And sometimes when you live in a community a long time, you sometimes forget what you have. You take for granted. So I'm always able to go in with a fresh set of eyes. And so Matt Austin Ford, our county executive, let's give him a round of applause as well. Angelo Santa Barbara, our selling member, is here. Let's give him a round of applause. Bruce Levine, it takes developers, it takes private sector partnerships, and I want to thank him for his work that he does at 3D Development and for the work with this project. Bruce Levine. To Damaris Carbone, I want to thank you and everyone who's part of the Amsterdam Municipal Housing Authority, your board, your members. This sometimes can feel like thankless work, but it is so critically important that we have authorities like yours throughout the state that are seeing the possibilities, seeing a piece of land, seeing an old building that just needs a lot of attention, you know, the possibility of reconverting sometimes old schools and old buildings into wonderful housing. And so it takes a housing authority that's enlightened, and I want to thank all of you and your members for what you're doing. Let's give them a round of applause as well. And the person I rely on most as we chart we navigate the waters of trying to build more housing in the state, and that is Ruth Ann Visnaskis. She and her team have been out on the forefront of an important journey, one that I believe will be legacy making at the end of our times in these positions. We want to know that we really made a difference in this state, but also for the people who live here, and opening up more housing, all levels of housing, low income, affordable, mixed use, market rate. It doesn't matter. We have such demand for housing in this state, and she is the one who has been at the forefront of making sure that we leave no stone unturned in our quest to make sure we build more housing. Let's give her a big round of applause, Ruth Ann Visnaskis. You know, I mentioned before the DRI, and I'm going to have a chance to stroll around and look at some of the improvements, but you know, having such a spectacular waterfront, never take for granted. This is the envy of many communities when you can see that people love being near the water. It's healing. It's the sense of calm. It connects you to other places when you see waterways, the canal. And just the sense of belief in this community is so important. With the Amsterdam Castle, you can't get a room. It is always booked there. And the historic downtown has been revitalized. I thought it was a little rough around the edges a decade ago, but now it's just shining. It looks fabulous. And I really want you to know that as someone who sees every community in the state many times, I go to all 62 counties every year, this is a really special place. And it's no surprise people want to live here. They want to settle down here. They want to come from elsewhere, but also the individuals who called this home, were born here, raised here, when they have their children and their families, they want to be able to stay here as well. And now you have a situation where houses go on the market, they're gone that afternoon. So they don't even have a choice. People have to leave because no fault of their own. They're not the ones responsible for building more housing or that first apartment for a young person out of school or a place a senior can live so they can downsize from the home that they raised their families in and contributed to this great community, and now they wanted to stay here. And if we don't provide the availability of all these options, and government has a role to play with the private sector and the community, if we don't do our job there, then that's going to be a reason people leave. And we cannot give anyone a reason to say, well, they're building more housing in these other states and it's more affordable, because when you build more housing, think about this, real simple. Build more housing, prices go down. When there's a shortage, which is what we're experiencing in our cities, in our counties, in our smallest towns, when you have that shortage, then the prices are driven up, and that is a factor on why people can't afford to live in the community that they were raised in. So we are in the midst of an affordability crisis. I've been talking about this. We have some of the steepest housing prices in America. And like I said, if you can't have your kids and grandkids grow up close to grandma and grandpa, it's sad. I have a grandchild who lives in Washington, and I treasure every minute with her. But also our police officers, our firefighters, our teachers. When they first start their careers, they're not making a lot of money, but they want to be able to live in the community that they serve, and we have to provide that. And that's what we're working on. It's been a stubborn issue, building more housing, and I presented some very bold ideas to the legislature. The legislature wasn't quite ready last year to embrace. That's all right. Sometimes movements, change is hard. It takes time. But I think what's important is that legislators hear from the people who live in these communities who say, well, it's really sad my kids can't find a home here, or my son who's a police officer can't live in this community, or my parents can't live here, and what are you doing about it? And are you part of the governor's plan to build more housing in this state? Again, I'm not saying it has to be all affordable housing, although that serves a very important purpose. Just build more. Take old buildings that have lost their luster, lost their purpose. Why can't we let people live in them? That's a catalyst for downtowns. That means that the little restaurants, and my mom had a little flower shop when I was growing up. I helped her start it. If we didn't have people growing, the community wasn't growing, then her business is going to falter. It's a whole ecosystem. But at the core of it, people need a safe, affordable place to live. And we have a responsibility, and I'm not going to sit by and let time go march on without doing something, because this is a crisis. And thank you. Now, here's the plan. In the absence of the legislator acting in a way that I think would be jump-starting the work I want done, and they'll have an opportunity again to look at this next year, I said I'm going to start using the executive powers that I have, executive actions. I said that let's first of all reward the communities and those who are visionary, who want to stimulate growth in housing. So I've identified discretionary funds in the state budget that I've now put in a $650 million fund that communities that are pro-housing communities will be able to apply for and get priority over those who are not. It's bold, it's innovative. Our commissioner is working on the criteria right now, but there are things that a local government can do to show their commitment. And I was in local government for 14 years, and we built a lot of housing, but we built it where we wanted it. But we made sure that we could meet the demand of our community that wanted to grow and make sure there was room for the next generation. So first of all, $650 million. We also realized there's a lot of regulatory burdens that stop development. A lot of them. And someone may say, why isn't something going in that space? Well, there's 1,000 regulations they have to follow. I wanted us to take a look at all these regulations. Do they all make sense? Do they serve a purpose? If it's for the health, safety, and welfare of our community and the environment, yes, we have to have those in place, full stop. But if they've just evolved over time and they're just one more headache and one more barrier to building, I want them gone. And that is the task that we're undertaking right now, just to make the environment better and more positive for people who do want to develop and for the communities who want the development. I'm also calling on our state agencies, identifying all the abandoned, vacant, underutilized properties that we have title to, that we own, that can be repurposed and utilized for housing. So you might start seeing some really creative spaces that you never thought possible, but why not? Would you rather have an abandoned building with broken windows and vandalism, or would you want to see people living in this? I mean, that's the choice we're facing here. So we're going to do everything in our power to build new housing, renovate our existing housing stock, and I can't think of a better advertisement for what I want to do than what we are doing here today. Standing with these beautifully renovated New Amsterdam apartments, just down the road from the Stratton apartments. So you're seeing the synergy created here. I don't just see new apartments, I see hope. I see a home. I see a new life for someone who's going to put their roots right here and become a vibrant part of this community. So these are part of our sustained effort to deliver. And over the last 5 years, Housing Community Renewal, under the leadership of Ruth Ann Visnauskas, they've invested over $37 million to create or preserve more than 300 affordable housing units right here in Montgomery County. Right here, 300 more families can live right here. And much of that has happened right here in Amsterdam. June was a very busy month here. Sorry I couldn't make all the groundbreakings, the ribbon cuttings, but Legacy City Access, that broke ground. And we cut the ribbon on the Vettersburg apartments and opened the Holland Circle apartments. That's in 1 month. That's what I'm talking about. That's what progress is all about. And energy that's created. People start saying, well, this is a very desirable place. Look at all the housing that's going up. And creating more than 100, the last units created 100 units in Amsterdam alone, and this is what I'm talking about. So over and over, naysayers say it can't be done. We've heard too many complaints. It's change is hard. It's too hard to build housing in the state of New York. But if you have the political will and are willing to overcome the barriers and the resistance, look what gets done. Look what gets done. It doesn't have to be contentious. It doesn't have to be a battle. We all want the same thing. And so we're here today to celebrate the completion of phase 2 of our $47.4 million investment in our senior population. As a member of that population group, I think it's great. And again, the New Amsterdam Apartments, 116 units, Stratton, 75, and again, using $40 million in state financing. So more important to me than is the dollars invested is the fact that this means families can stay connected. This is so important. This is so important. And you don't have to be anxious about having to move, because when I was growing up in Buffalo, you could find a house. Because everyone said, the last one out, turn out the lights. They left. All my siblings, big Irish Catholic family, I'm the last one out of 6 kids who could find a job in New York years and years ago. They all left. Housing was available, you couldn't give it away. But you know what we didn't have? Were jobs. Now we have the jobs. Plenty of opportunity, unemployment is low, there's a job if you want it. But if you don't have a house to live in, it doesn't work out. So we have to solve that side of the equation. Keep the economy strong, keep creating jobs. I'm going to keep working on economic development so we can bring more jobs to this region. The Mohawk Valley has a tremendous potential, but we have to have places for people to live. And again, aging New Yorkers need that dignity to age in the community they raise their own children in, have services around them. And I know the value of these individuals. I mean, someone who's 65, 75, 85, they're still contributing. They're still doing amazing things. I think about my mother for her 70th birthday a number of years ago. Her 70th birthday, she didn't want a cake. She wanted to have us take an old abandoned funeral home in our town and give it life as a place for victims of domestic violence. That's the kind of family I came from. My mom ran that. We scrubbed it up, made it look beautiful, painted all the walls. The basement was kind of scary, I'll just say that. But it became a place where children could live, and families were connected who had seen the worst violence in their own families. So that's what people do. This is a home they can live in. Those individuals will continue contributing, regardless of their ages, because we gave them a wonderful home, and that's the difference we're making today. Also, I want to say that we're continuing our efforts. We're going to be, in addition to projects like these, announcing we've already awarded over $400 million in bonds and subsidies to create 800 affordable units throughout the state of New York. And what this does is it lifts the strain off the hardest hit communities to create the kind of housing we want, energy efficient housing. It costs a little more at the outset, but ultimately you recoup that in savings, energy savings. But we want to make sure that we're making these investments. So some of these investments, some of this financing was used for these projects right here in Amsterdam. Again, this isn't the answer. It's not the final solution. These one-offs are great and we'll continue doing them, but we need a comprehensive, well thought out approach that the public supports, because I know they're with us on this. I know they want this. We have to get the political will in our state capital and elsewhere to make sure we get this done. So I'm going to keep building the momentum. Building the momentum, let's keep on this path and showing people exactly what we're talking about. And it all comes down many times to our local leaders standing up and saying, we want this, our communities deserve this. And again, I want to thank our mayor for his support of these projects and many more to come. Mayor Cinquanti, the mayor of Amsterdam.
Thank you, everyone. Being a mayor of an upstate city, that has a shortage of housing in just about every demographic, I can tell you I'm very honored and pleased that Governor Kathy Hochul is putting so much effort and passion and perseverance into helping us solve that problem. So thank you very much, Governor. I'm a historian. I write books about Amsterdam, so I'm going to talk a little bit about history. It's a great day for Amsterdam. The original grand opening of this high-rise took place in January of 1970. It was the first project applied for and the first one completed by the Amsterdam Housing Authority, which after two false starts attempted just after World War II, was finally reconstituted in 1965 and has been an absolutely essential source of well-maintained and affordable housing in our city ever since. 53 years ago, the opening of the high-rise was an instant game changer for the elderly on low and fixed incomes who were the most vulnerable members of our community. Prior to this high-rise, too many of our seniors lived alone in substandard apartments with very high monthly rents. And then they moved here. And suddenly, they not only could afford to go on living, they actually could more fully enjoy their lives. Suddenly, they had new, clean, and safe living spaces with neighbors their age to socialize with, plenty of support services, and enough money left over after the rent was paid to actually spend on themselves. And guess how much it cost to build this high-rise and the 75 garden apartments back in 1970? Total all in, $4 million. I want to thank the Amsterdam Housing Authority, Executive Director Damaris Carbone, her staff, the AHA Board, and of course, New York State, for the work and support you have all put into this most recent project, and also for the one you completed just last year at the Stratton Apartments. You've helped assure that for the next half-century, Amsterdam seniors will continue to have the affordable opportunity to live in a decent space, to feel safe, to not be alone, so they too can more fully enjoy their lives. And I can think of no better mission. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Bruce Levine, who's the president of our Third Development Group, LLC. Bruce?
It's always so easy being the last speaker. So quality affordable housing is an important resource for any community. The Amsterdam Housing Authority has a mission of promoting the economic and social well-being of the tenants. 3D Development is proud to be its partner. We have built a reputation of supporting communities and the agencies that seek to improve housing conditions for all New Yorkers. This project is another example of Governor Hochul's emphasis of public-private partnerships. The state, through HCR, made the resources available to carry out this comprehensive upgrade. The result is a healthier living environment for tenants and a property that is more accessible and uses less energy. This modernization ensures that this building will be a source of safe, quality, and affordable housing for generations to come. I am thrilled that our governor is here to see firsthand the difference that this effort makes in neighborhoods and the lives of our citizens. Governor Hochul and the legislature have made housing a priority and provided the resources for Commissioner Ruth Ann Wisnauskas and the staff at Homes and Community Renewal to carry out that mission. They worked very hard behind the scenes on behalf of all New Yorkers. Damaris and the board had a vision to not only modernize, but to make it safer, more comfortable, and energy efficient. This is a lengthy and challenging process from initial application and through all stages of construction. Her team deserves much credit for their hard work and patience. The timely completion was made possible due to the support and cooperation of the tenants. Each one was asked to move temporarily, which was a huge inconvenience. But on behalf of all of us, I thank you for working with us and hope you are happy with the outcome. I have the pleasure of working with a team that is mission-driven. They go above and beyond in every project to make sure we are doing what's best for the housing authorities and for the tenants that they serve. A quick shout out to Lindsay Hendricks, Mark Caruso, Sam Celia, Dominic Celia, and all the others that are here today who made this possible and are part of our team. Also, particular shout out to Erica Ramirez from the Housing Authority and Paul from Celia Construction for his hard work and for her hard work to get us to this point. What you see here, the obvious things, the windows, the floors, that really doesn't tell the full story. This building needed a lot of work in its guts. Plumbing, elevator modernization, electrical, all these things were done in the most professional of manners, and it's because of the people that are dedicated to this cause, and I'm so privileged to work with them. Finally, I want to acknowledge Bank of America and the National Equity Fund who provided the bank financing to make this possible, and thank you all for being here. This is a wonderful day for all of us and for the City of Amsterdam. Thank you.
That concludes our program. Thank you for coming. Please enjoy some refreshments that will be served shortly.